Hey, what's up, everybody? You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, man, I can hear you.
What's up? What's up? How's everybody's week going?
Good.
Share
How's
my
yours?
screen. What's that? So I'm going to turn you guys up. I can't really hear anything.
Doing good. How's your week been?
Honestly, been pretty slow. I pretty much only took like one profitable trade this week, anyways. But the rest have been like break evens and a few losses that I shared like earlier in the week. I'm guessing it's pretty similar for a lot of you who are just trading EU, but for those of you who are trading, gold and GU and all that, you're probably having a little bit better of a week. But you know what? The fact that like the market is ranging, I think it's a good test of our patience and stuff. And what do you guys think? If you're able to sit out of it, I know Dan's been sitting out of the market a lot, which honestly I gotta hand it to him. Like, it takes discipline to do that, to not force a trade in a rangy market like this, right? So just gonna see if I can pull up the Zoom window here. For some reason, I can't see it. 1 second. Pull up the chat so I can see what you guys are saying. But yeah, not the best conditions this week for sure. I think last week even was a little bit wasn't the best. I think like same with a lot of the guys on the team were a lot of people have been kind of sitting out of the market, not pulling too much. They've been pretty focused on working on like the masterclass stuff. So yeah, I mean, like past couple of weeks, I think it's a good time to observe or even paper trade, back test, do whatever you need to do, train yourself, right? But yeah, if you're forcing trades and stuff, you're definitely overexposed potentially to risk, and that's not good either, right? So, hey Brad, how's it going, man? Brad Spicer, you in here?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for joining, man.
Yeah, no, pleasure. I enjoy these.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna give everybody like maybe a couple more minutes to show up, and then we'll get started. But yeah, today we're just gonna be focusing on EU March 1st to March 30th, if we can make it, 2021. So somewhat recent price action. Again, I want to run all the way through EU first, and then we can start playing around with other pairs. Am I listening to any voice here or not? Because to me it's silent. If you can't hear me, try closing Zoom and rejoining. Oh, he's not gonna be able to hear me say that though. Let me type that out. Let him know. Welcome, Oluwashina. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but yeah, welcome to the community if you're new here, and welcome to the backtesting session. I think this is going to be a fun one. I'm kind of itching to take some trades and stuff because, again, I've been sitting on my hands so much. I honestly even overtraded this week. Like I was kind of forcing trades. Even the long I took on EU London this morning, or like before Frankfurt, honestly shouldn't have taken it, and I did way too tiny of a stop loss, so it took me out. Otherwise, it would have ran for like, I think 3 or 4. And then with the short, I don't know if you guys saw, I posted that too. Yeah, the meeting just started now, Amar. We haven't actually started yet. I'm just waiting for people to come in a little bit. But yeah, the short wasn't bad. I wasn't honestly paying enough attention to it while I was managing. I was kind of in the middle of something else. So because of that, because I was distracted, it kind of messed up my management on it. I ended up just closing it hard at 5R on the pullback, because I mean, we know how like rangy the market is, right? So I didn't want to leave all that profit on the table, as I mentioned in the in that post there. All right, let's see. So I think we can get started here. About 5 minutes in. So yeah, how we're gonna do it, guys, same thing. I'm gonna try not to rewind as much on this one. I want to try and make it a little bit more realistic. So if we, I mean, even if we have a bad session, that's fine. I think there's always a possibility of that when we do, any back testing. But yeah, again, I want to like manage everybody's expectations here and show you that, like it's never going to be perfect. Like sometimes you have a bad month, bad week, bad day or whatever, but you can't let it affect like your longer term, like trading, right? So really, again, we're just like focusing on consistency. We'll open up for questions in about 20 minutes or so once we kind of get into the flow of things and we start taking some trades. But until then, hold off on the questions a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you can post them in the chat, but I'll probably just start answering them 20 minutes in. So it might get lost in the mix. Last thing is before we start, if you guys want, I mean, again, always open to it. Go ahead and mark out any supplier demand zones on any of the timeframes that you want. You can do this before the questions too. And we can investigate it and maybe even put like a limit on if it makes sense. Can everybody hear me okay? Because it seems like a lot of people are saying they can't. Esley, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna tell everybody who can't hear me. All right, cool. So let's start with 4-hour structure here. This time I actually included a lot of like historical data, so we have something to work off of. But first of all, I think we even like back tested a little bit of March last week. But first thing that I see at first glance is if I'm looking at overall higher time frame structure, and if you were to look at this on the daily chart, I think this actually taps into something up here. And on the daily, I mean, I can pull up the chart just so you guys have it for reference. I'm not going to like leave it up or anything because I think we'd have too many charts, but let's take a look at it just to get an idea of like where we are. Obviously, we're like higher time frame, extremely bullish. But that being said, just on the 4-hour, I mean, look, we built liquidity. We've swept it into a 4-hour supply zone, and we're starting to make a reaction off of it, right? So if I'm looking a little bit more zoomed in on the 4-hour, 1-hour, I can tell that like we're starting to break structural points here. And I mean, again, we are still in this sort of like uptrend, right? Making lows, highs, higher lows. We're potentially anticipating a higher low, but again, because we tapped into this, maybe we can anticipate that this might break this low too, right? So I'm not going to be overly biased and try to just take longs, and I'm not just going to try to take shorts either based on this, right? Well, let's pull open the daily. Let's take a look at it real quick. So here's the daily chart. I just want to give you guys an idea of what we're kind of dealing with here. We have a demand zone on the daily that we're in. And I would say that broke this structural point here, if you can see my cursor, right? Yeah, same thing. So actually, so it doesn't look like the 4-hour zone really is showing up here, but it is obviously in these wicks in this area right here, right? And I think that's what we're kind of reacting to now. We just barely tapped it. So again, same thing, right? Liquidity sweep. So potentially we'll see a push to the downside here, right? But yeah, on the flip side, when price could continue up and completely blow through this too, right? So let's react to what price does and not try to just guess, right? So let me just make sure I have this all set up. I'm going to slow price down, make sure it's not too quick so we can actually take our time and take some entries. I guess top-down analysis though. So obviously the 15-minute, again, also very bearish, as you guys can see. So we're just coming out of Asia now. I'm going to start marking out potential zones that I think might work. So we have a supply zone here. You have one here. It's not bad. I'm just going to mark them all. I'm not necessarily going to take a trade off of them, right? So again, if you guys want to mark out zones, go for it. Please use the box tool though, so it doesn't get too messy. Don't use the marker or line tool. But I'm just going to mark out, we are starting to build a little bit of liquidity. Sam made a good point. I think last week I was talking to him, or earlier this week, saying that liquidity a lot of the time it is pretty subjective. And I totally agree with that. So it's something that you kind of have to be like weary of. You kind of have to like combine every concept, right? I see liquidity here. You might not necessarily see it. Price could inevitably just like break down further, right? Just because we see liquidity there doesn't mean it's going to get swept right away, right? But as long as we're like approaching it from a perspective of like, okay, we're going to apply this theory of liquidity and structure all together, then we can try and take some trades based off of that, right? Speed this up a little bit. So we're still in London. Looks like market is pretty rangy. I don't want to be too focused on the 1 minute quite yet until we start seeing liquidity sweeps and stuff. So honestly, like looking at the 5 minute here, we even have this wick that looks like it potentially is producing a reaction off of. And we see we've broken 5 minute structure here too, right? We did also get a change of character. That's correct. So potentially could be going long on the 15 minute. But the way I see it, I don't want to necessarily trade it against trend, even though we are in a daily zone here until we come down maybe to this 4 hour demand zone up here. So, or I mean below. So that's this one right here that I'm marking out. I'm just going to be pretty loose with it and mark this whole thing. Yeah, so yeah, that looks like potentially a good zone. I totally agree with that. It's not, I don't think this is a supply to demand flip necessarily. Actually, I guess it is. You got this, right? And then we take out that demand zone with this. So we could potentially do that, but and the only thing is got liquidity sitting here, so I'd probably be careful of it. Don't want to force it. Though as a London trade, I think this would have been pretty decent if you were able to catch it. Doesn't look like we got any retests. So again, I'm not like, rushing to get in a trade or anything. If I don't see anything good, I'm not going to take it, right? I'm trying to approach it the same way that I would approach the live market. I don't need to be in a trade. I don't need to expose myself to risk. I want to take what's high probability and like leave everything else. And I certainly wouldn't be shorting down here, right? Because we're now like so deep into the discount of this current like 15-minute leg. We've broken these structural levels. So I don't want to short here. Even if it does work, it doesn't fit my my trading plan, like what I'm trading, right? So I think this is maybe reacting to something on the left, but because we're on MT4, it's a little bit hard to investigate it. Let's see. Looks like there's like some whips there to the left. How do you draw? So there's an annotation tool. If you pull up the window, there's a little annotate with a pencil button. Just use the box tool if you don't mind, if you're going to mark something out. Yeah, so none of this was super clear to me. Like, I don't know, again, if this tapped into something. It's hard to say. Actually, looks like it did. So there might have potentially been something good here. See this wick? Kind of reacted to something here. I bet if we look on the 5 minute, it's a little clearer. Now we're heading into London Wall too. So yeah, it looks like we got this one. We took out this pretty major area of demand, right? We swept this liquidity and then we kind of pushed up. So major area there. And then if we look on the 1 minute, again, I'm not going to like rewind and take this trade necessarily, but you can see we kind of got a reaction. It's not the cleanest PA though. You could have like potentially entered off of that. But again, what was I saying earlier, right? We don't know where like this is necessarily going to stop. And because we're so deep in the 15-minute leg, I didn't want to try and short this, right? So, but I look for longs now that we've had a 15-minute breaker structure. I wouldn't consider this a 15-minute break. We're still like bearish on this overall. So no, I would not be looking for longs. You know what? If anything. So again, because it's like we took out like major demand here. Like this was like a pretty key swing point, I'd say, on the 15-minute too, right? I'm actually going to look potentially at this zone. I want to look for things that, I mean, you guys can test this on your own too. I try to look for areas of supply or demand that get taken out that are like significant. And I've said this before, I don't like to just take anything. There are a ton of false positives. I think you guys all know, if you've ever tried just trading supply to demand flips on the 1 minute without like combining it with liquidity sweeps and that kind of thing to take continuations with, like you're going to get whipsawed, right? You're going to take a ton of losses. It's happened to me a ton of times. So for me, I'd rather sit out and again, like look at the overall like picture between like all the time frames, right? Oops, I meant to use the line tool on that. So we're starting to build liquidity here too, which is pretty nice. I think this might potentially be a good trade if it sets up in and around New York. So let's see. I'd even be willing, honestly, to just slap a limit on the 5-minute. Then we can look for continuations too. Because for me, well, that's a pretty big stop though. Maybe we'll do this one here, and I'll cover the high. 5.5 pip stop loss. That's not bad. Let's see if it tags us in. So we're now coming into New York kill zone, quote unquote, right? 7 a.m. Eastern, noon GMT. What's PA? Yeah, no, price action. Yeah. Can I zoom out on the 15? Absolutely. Have a look. I'm going to zoom in on the 5 a bit because we placed an order on it now. Let's see. William, yeah, you can buy software FX from, I mean, if you Google it, I can't remember what the company's name is, but I think it's like $100. And I think you can get like 15% off with like a PayPal link that we have in resources if you look for it. We don't get anything from it, just to be transparent. It's not even really an affiliate link. It's just something to give us. So. All right, let's speed this up a bit. It's kind of taking a while. Building a ton of liquidity here. Oh, there we go. We're tagged in. And then you slow it down. It's pretty good. So we basically built up all this liquidity. This is really like a combination of both concepts, right? So the whole idea of liquidity sweeps were with 15-minute trend, right? I guess let me explain this part because it's something that I feel like a lot of people kind of struggle with. They're always either anticipating that it's going to be the extreme that gets hit, or, you know, they're looking for, yeah, I mean, it's usually this, like, this is typically what people are expecting, but you have to remember, no matter what leg we're in, on any time frame, this applies to, by the way, like it applies to the 4 hour as well. At some point, we're going to pull back, and it could be, you know, to this area here or the extreme, right? We don't know really. And that's why we try to combine pretty much all these concepts, you know, liquidity, sweeps, and then the fact that this is also a demand zone that gets taken out, that's a major swing point. That's a high probability area that I want to trade off of. And so that's why I felt comfortable taking a risk entry off of that. So let's see if it works out. I'm not sure if it does or not. I don't remember, but we can also look for continuations potentially. Only thing is we are also approaching news here. It looks like ISM manufacturing PMI. So it's, these don't typically, they're not typically like restricted events for like prop firms either. And they don't typically like make the market super volatile, but if it were NFP or something, you know, make sure you don't trade that unless you're extremely experienced. Otherwise you might blow your account. So price action is kind of messy here. Yeah, session timing was pretty important on this one. Like this happened right at, I think New York open, I think. No, about an hour. So at 9 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. GMT. So there's PMI. Doesn't look like it did much. So that's fine. You can still look for shorts, honestly, but I'm kind of anticipating a little bit of a pull. I mean, this was our pullback, right? Now that we swept this, pulled back into it, pushed, right? Basically a break and retest in a way on the 15. No, for this one, I'm not going to do 5R unless it's counter trend, counter to like all of the, well, basically the higher time frame. That's how I traded in live as well. So. Daniel, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you, what about this OB? Which OB? Oh, that one. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, that one's not bad. What would keep me out of it though is liquidity sitting here, right? Like, I don't know if price is going to come and potentially tap into this larger wick, whether it's the EQ of it, or honestly, I don't even really trade wicks like this. This is weird price action to me. I would probably just stay out of it personally, but it looks like, yeah, this would work for at least 5R. if not for like a longer term continuation and a swing trade. Yeah, I do pay attention to inside bars quite a lot. There's an indicator called inside bar V2 that I've been using basically for almost all of my trading career in Forex anyways. I don't have an indicator for it here, but I can see, so we're building liquidity. I think this is going to actually potentially get swept. Let's see. Might want to break even our position, but I'll leave it open, whatever. Let's see what happens. Let's accept the risk on it. Kind of moving into spread hours now too, so. Oh no, sorry, not yet. We're coming to London close here. So the significance of an inside bar to me anyways is basically just a pause in price action. They seem to work pretty well. Like it's not like I trade them exclusively or anything. I just kind of use it as a confluence in a way. I've been building a lot of liquidity here. So, and same for like selecting certain zones of supplier demand on like the mid to low time frames. Actually, I mean, I even use it on the 4 hour too, right? Like sometimes you'll have an inside bar. There was an example of it, I think, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, where there was an inside bar on the 4 hour that also happened to be a supply to demand flip. So if you didn't have an inside bar indicator, or you didn't know how to recognize one without it, you wouldn't have seen it. But it was pretty clear, and we produced like a huge reaction off of it. I don't think it's come back to it since. So we're running pretty good on this, running about 5R, right? Because we're risking 0.5%. I'm just going to push through to Frankfurt now because this is kind of taking forever. I think we can hold this. Doesn't look like we got swept out. So here's spread hours, kind of doing its thing. Yep, we're ranging a lot. I'm just going to push this on 4 hour 15. You know what, honestly, if you guys want to open up for questions already, we can. I think it's been like 15 minutes. Keep the conversation going. I want you guys to try and like get something out of this. So ask away if you have questions. So we're just approaching Frankfurt Open. The way that I've been trading, just so you guys know, recently in live, like I haven't been trading New York. I've actually just been staying up because I am in the Eastern like time zone, Eastern Standard Time zone. Here in Canada, it's yeah, I think it just makes more sense. I end up sleeping from like 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then I just stay up from 1 p.m. all the way to 5 a.m. Eastern Standard. So I'm able to trade. I'm not like groggy in the morning, you know. Yeah, so that's why, I mean, we'll do New York trades and stuff, but I find like when I'm awake, I have the best luck trading London. But let's keep on analyzing this. So we can see now that we're approaching equal lows on the 4 hour here, right? So that's looking pretty good. Potentially what's going to happen is we're going to sweep this now. I'm expecting that we're going to like actually break this low. I don't think this daily is going to hold anymore. So again, what was there were like two kind of like ideas or like perspectives that we kind of had coming into this, right? One was that we're going to produce a reaction off of this sweep of liquidity, this higher time frame bull trap, essentially, right? Basically trapping bulls into thinking, oh, this market's going to continue up based on the shorter term 4 hour trend. But no, what happens? We tap into a supply zone on the 4 hour. We produce a reaction, right? So what am I expecting now based on this trap? I want to trade away from this trap, right? Because again, when I see this type of price action, to me, what I'm basically seeing is that there's institutional involvement. So there is an institution or an institution's algorithm, a bank, whatever, pushing price around, manipulating it so that they can fill their bags at a nice price and then profit heavily on it, right? And the whole purpose of obviously building liquidity is to actually fill their bags because they otherwise wouldn't be able to do that. So based on that, we're pretty bearish. I mean, you've broken some pretty good structure points. I'm expecting we're going to break this major low here. Again, this is a pretty weak low to me because we've tapped into it once. We've built liquidity, right? So I'm expecting we're going to break that. And then maybe when we break that, we'll probably see like a pullback, right? But yeah, what Blue Watch Junior said, I don't know who's who now. Who's Blue Watch? Everybody has watch in their name now. You guys are all copying Black Watch, NFP Watch. So yeah, overall, even on the 50-minute, I mean, same thing. Look, we're breaking like major structural points. I'm bearish on that. The 5-minute, I'm pretty bearish on. See, we're kind of building liquidity here, right? So there's Frankfurt just selling off. So it actually looks like we missed a pretty good trade here. This probably would have kept me out of it, I'll be honest, right? This liquidity here. But I mean, do you guys want to rewind so we can actually take this, or should we just let it go? What do you think? No rewinding, okay. Mason called the shots. Yeah, so this zone looks pretty good. Because again, look, what did we do here? Right, we took out a pretty major area of demand, right? Not only that, but all this liquidity too. So I'd be comfortable actually taking even like a market off of this. Let's see if this works. I'll just cover the high. We'll give it 5 pips. We could get swept, like who knows, but the fact that we're approaching London now, like there's a good chance that this is going to continue lower. Other thing I'm going to quickly note here is within this 15-minute leg, I'll just mark it out. What we took here based on what price action was, right? Let me just duplicate this so you guys can see it. You can see that in this overall leg, we were in the premium of a short. So that's totally fine to take. Honestly, I don't think you would have got tagged in on the 5-minute or on the 1-minute, but because we market executed, we didn't get the best fill, honestly. But if you'd just taken this straight off the 5-minute, right, based on the fact that, again, we took out all this liquidity, we took out this area of demand, pushed up, broke below it. That's pretty significant. And we were happy to take this short. I do think this is going to work out. So let's see. Or not, we'll see. But I don't think this is really liquidity. I mean, there's definitely structural liquidity sitting here, but again, look, we're trading away from the trap. Let's hold it. Potentially swing this. Are you going to wait for 50 minutes to turn bullish in order to take long into supply areas? Yeah, unless we hit a like 4-hour zone like this and we like get a 5-minute break. But then again, we'd still be like, I'd still manage it probably with like the whole 5-hour thing, knowing that we're counter to, I mean, this trend here, right? Look, we've now closed below this low. So like we're bearish. Okay, looks like we're retesting this zone here. It's a good thing we didn't set break even. No, I don't trade breaker blocks. No. And really all breaker blocks are supply to demand flips, or basically a run of a supply or demand zone. Basically running all of the counter trend players out of the market. If you look at any like 15-second chart based on a breaker block, you'll see that usually there's a wick or something that it's like playing off of, but it's basically, you know, what I just mentioned, a run of counter trend players out of the market. That's the best way that I wrap my head around it. And it makes sense from a theoretical perspective too. So that's how I try to approach it theoretically. And knowing that theory is obviously one thing, and then applying it is another, but I feel like it helps me navigate the market in a way. So yeah, market's pretty rangy. This is kind of reminding me of like this week's price action. But let's hold it. We'll accept the risk on this. We don't need to break even it. We're with trend and everything. If it comes and takes us out, it potentially wouldn't even take us all, right? If it comes for this 1 minute, right? Assuming like spreads don't screw us, we'll be fine. And we're in London lull right now anyways, so let's see. Okay, we got taken out of that one. It's not too bad. So I think the reason it's too bad because we had actually a lot of profit we left on the table on that one. But I think what happened there is because we took out this liquidity here, we can kind of anticipate that we are going to get this pullback now. Just looking at like 4-hour structure. So now we've actually shifted 15-minute structure pretty much bullish, right? Yeah, you know what? Let's maybe let's take this. Look, we just swept this liquidity. This is very subtle, but if you guys see here, we had liquidity that we built and we just barely like pinged it. So potentially maybe we can look for like a change of character in and around this area. Yep, we have liquidity. Yep, that's definitely a good long idea, but again, personally, I'm not looking for longs because we're not in a like 4-hour zone or anything. I'm not going to try and catch the falling knife, right? Even though we are pulling back, like when we can anticipate a pullback based on the fact that we broke like these major structural lows. I'm not going to try and guess what's going to happen. I'm not going to take a trade during London lull either until we come into New York or something. Yeah. Do I consider counter trend from 4-hour or 15? Usually 4-hour. Great, look. So I think we're going to sweep that a little bit higher. So that's good. In terms of POI, so I'm going to mark out this last bullish before bearish candle here, and potentially we might get a reaction off that. So I'll set a limit there. We have a lot of liquidity kind of sitting that area. Let's refine it to the 5-minute a little bit because that is a huge stop. Actually, it's not that big. It's like what, 5 pips. So let's give it like 3.9 or whatever. There's a chance you might not get tapped in on that either. But let's see. And again, we have liquidity sitting here too. I don't know if that's going to necessarily work either, but because we're kind of heading into New York now, and we can anticipate we'll get some spike in volatility and thus momentum. Oh man, that almost took us out. That was close. That's pretty good. Change of character is a break of trend. A change of character is this. I think I explained this on the last one. I'll quickly explain it for you guys. It can happen on any time frame. I think Sam looks at it on the 5-minute a lot. I'll look at it on the 1 minute if I'm trying to take like a counter trend long like this. Like honestly, you could have taken this, but the reason I stayed out is because this was all during London lull, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I wasn't trying to force it, though. I think it was Blue Watch who said this sweep of liquidity, right? This is basically a trap. We saw a change of character, right? We can potentially like try to long this into basically trying to like play the counter trend pullback, right? But what a counter trend or what a change of character is basically just, so if we're coming from like a bullish market, right? All it is us sweeping liquidity on one side and then the other, and then the market kind of showing its hand and telling us that potentially it's going to break or reverse from that point, right? So anytime I see a sort of sweep of liquidity like this, and then a sweep of liquidity down, right? So there's our sweep there, and then there's our sweep there. Then we can start looking, and this is obviously a short scenario off of supply zones. We can start looking at these areas, right? So we've run this demand zone here, right? And then we have the extreme. So we can play either, right? And then you would basically set your limit order on one of these. If that makes sense. Does that explain what change of character is? On a 5 or 15 minute, what makes me decide if I want to take a risk entry or wait for a change of character on the 1 minute? For me, probably the biggest thing is like session timing. And honestly, that's a loaded question because I'm paying attention not only to that, but like what the overall, like what my overall multi-time frame analysis is telling me, right? So if we're like in a super bearish market overall and like technically, did we get a change of character on this? Not really, not yet, not on the 1 minute. So if you wanted to wait for it, like I would wait, we've got our sweep of liquidity, right? But I want to wait till we break lower and close below. Like you had like a subtle one here, right? But I mean, again, it's the whole point of this is to like combine all the concepts, right? Like I took this just straight off of a 5 minute sweep of liquidity. So this is that old model and it's still like a pretty valid one. We might actually get swept here too. We're starting to build equal highs. Oh, we just got swept by a tick. That sucks. Let's see if we can try to catch another short here. So yeah, if we got a break of structure on the, so the reason I'm looking for it is because we build liquidity, right? So I'm okay with trading counter to the 15-minute trend, if it makes sense, right? Let me just clear this really quick and see if we can. That sucks. We really got like taken out by this much. Whatever this is, it happens. We were the liquidity on that one. Yeah, Mason, I actually like this one because it's that's a flip zone too, right? So let's actually set a limit on that one. That's not a bad place to try and take a short. And I'll give it some buffer. I'll give it 3 pips. So I'll just mark out here why this might work. We're still in our short from the start. That was a pretty good one. I think we ran, what did we run here? We probably ran about 5R on that other short we were just in. Oh, come on, did it tap us in? Oh yeah, it did. Oh no. Oh no, it tapped us out too. It's okay. Okay, there you go. So this ended up being liquidity. So I don't think this trade would have worked out anyways, but I think we ran something like, yeah, 5R peak on this short here. But that's okay. You're going to take losses sometimes too, right? So I'm going to start looking at, again, this I think addresses that same question that you had. Why am I looking for shorts? Because again, the higher time frame tells me we're bearish. I know we're in a pullback, obviously, right? But I mean, look, we're even in a 4-hour supply zone here, right? And a 15-minute as well. So I'm just going to mark these out. These are all like relevant zones that we can potentially play off of if we get a reaction, right? This is our 4-hour zone, this bigger box. The smaller one's the 15 that's nested inside, which also happens to be a flip zone, right? Because we have this right here, right? This little 15-minute demand pushes, breaks down, right? And then again, the other thing, look, I have a ton of liquidity sitting here, right? So what does that tell me? It's going to get swept. It is getting swept, right? So, and we're in New York, right? There's a lot of things like lining up here, a lot of factors that are telling me, okay, potentially I'm going to look for a short. We can set either a, I mean, look, we'll just do this even. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to set a limit on that. And worst case, we can wait for a reaction to the downside too and try to take a continuation. That's probably the better way to approach it. Okay, so that to me is a change of character. You guys see this? Just mark it out. So we have, this is pretty subtle too, right? We basically swept this little liquidity here and then we broke below and closed below, right? So yeah, exactly what Amar is saying. We can try and take this. And honestly, we even have, again, another nested zone here, right? So this is starting to show me intent that potentially we're going to break down from here. Not only that, but we also tapped into, or we almost tapped into this 5-minute up here, right? I'll zoom into it a bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. So see here, this zone. So these are all nested. Like this is a super like nice zone for me to potentially play off of. And we're right in the heart of like New York session. So it just makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to set a limit order at this area that Amar mentioned. because I actually like it a lot. And let's see if we become liquidity or not on this one, or if it even taps us in. Might not, right? Oh, we're building liquidity a little bit there on the 1 minute. Kind of swept it subtly. Okay, tapped us in. Amar, good call, man. You're already running like 2R on that. It breaks down though. So based on the liquidity sweep model that I think we all like started out with, I just want to quickly mention this. What I typically look for is that whole idea of like sweep of liquidity. And the fact that we're in a 4-hour zone. Again, this is very hard for me to like investigate on the lower time frame. I'd like to look at this on the 1 minute so I can show you guys. But basically the whole idea, and this is just like, this is kind of like the mid probability version of the setup. I'll draw it here. So we have our 4-hour zone, right? Which is here, right? So that's our 4-hour. Go, right? Which is this 4-hour zone here. We have a 15-minute nested inside of it. Not really necessary, but like in this case, we had it, right? That's our 15-minute, right? Basically what we saw was on the 15-minute, we were kind of in a downtrend, started building a lot of liquidity. We had some fake sweeps that kind of faked us out. These were pretty premature, honestly, in hindsight. That's okay. We took some losses on it. And then what did he do? We swept that liquidity into our POI, right? So that would be your like overall risk entry. And then on the 5-minute, if I'm looking to try and take like a CE or a confirmation entry, what I'm going to wait for is any major or minor 5-minute break structure. So it could be substructural or like a major 5-minute break like this. Ideally, like I want it higher up in this leg, right? Knowing that we're in this 4-hour zone, I want to see the break. I want to see some sort of liquidity build and then tap and retest into my position, right? And even better if it's a supply to demand flip. Or we could take the extreme, right? So there's 2 opportunities there where we can potentially, risk 0.5% and then pull at minimum, we're going to pull 5R out of that, if not more, because we're with higher time frame trend, right? So let me just clear that and let's see what happens. Let's see, Amar, if our trades work here. I'm not going to be super aggressive about scaling in or anything, but I think could maybe taking that too. Yeah. But we're already in a couple positions. I'm not going to overexpose us. And this does kind of look like liquidity now. Oh, okay. We got swept. Omar, it's all good. It happens. So we're actually even coming back to our, our original order here. So that'd be a tough thing to hold through, honestly. But let's see if it holds. Oh, we're out. So again, let's look at this from the higher time frame perspective. Why are we pulling back so aggressively? Because we swept this liquidity, right? So we anticipated this. Honestly, this is poor management on my part, which is okay. That's why we're here to learn, right? I don't typically hold positions overnight and stuff, so I probably would have managed it a little bit more aggressively, but in the entries were pretty decent on a lot of those, even though, you can get like a huge, I mean, we did get quite a lot off of this one, right? Like that ran probably, I don't know, 10R or something or higher. So let's see, we're approaching another 4-hour zone here. Remember, we can't get tilted by losses like that either. Even in back testing, I try not to get, and obviously in the live market, you don't want to get your emotions overly involved in it and start taking, revenge trades and that kind of thing, right? So if again, we were looking at our like higher time frame, or not higher time frame, but our liquidity sweep model, we never actually got our 5-minute break of structure here, really. Like we kind of closed, but then we failed to break below it, right? Yeah, there's a couple 4-hour zones that I'm gonna kind of look at. That's one as well, Daniel. So good call. Let's see. So I can't remember who said to take a long, but honestly, you're long. If we had taken it and held it, would have been pretty good. I think it was Blue Watch said it. Too late now. Yeah, that's okay. We're just gonna be patient about this. We are only 2 days into March here. Honestly, taking a lot of trades. This kind of would have violated my my daily loss limits, but that's okay. It's a back testing session, right? I'm gonna push now to Frankfurt again and see if we can catch something else. We're in a 4-hour zone right now, actually. Here's Frankfurt open. So a couple things. Let's mark out Asia here. I believe this is Asia. You can potentially look at like a midline test, which was like my trade today on EU. It's pretty good. That being said, there's liquidity sitting here above Asia too, so gotta be a little bit careful of that. But we're in a 4-hour zone. I'm okay with taking some entries like that. Let's see if we can potentially catch something. Obviously the 15 minutes pretty bullish now. I mean, that's evident, but again, I still want to trade away from the trap, especially if we're going to try and swing stuff. And because we're in this 4-hour zone here, and you know, I mean, there is one above it as well. I still want to look for shorts. I don't want to be trying to long now that we're like this far in the premium of this leg, right? As in like this leg here, like right in the premium of it. So we just tapped Asia midline here. So, okay, someone's asking, after a 4-hour break, when we anticipate a pullback, do we anticipate the pullback right away or only after the mitigation of something on the opposing side after the break of structure? Okay, honestly, I'm a little bit lost. That's a pretty loaded question. But in terms of like when I'm anticipating, yeah, when I'm anticipating it, it's basically the minute that we close below liquidity like this, I'm going to anticipate a pullback because it just makes like sense for price action to do that. It's just healthy for it to pull back, right? Like anytime basically the liquidity like this, right? And we're in a downtrend, right? Say on the 15-minute kind of looks like this, right? We're making lower lows, lower highs. Sweep that. We can anticipate it's going to do this, right? And tap into one of these zones. So that makes sense. So let's see. This is Asia midline. Honestly, I'd be interested in maybe shorting this or even this one up here. So let's try it. Again, we know that there's liquidity up here, so we might get kind of churned out on it, but let's give it a try. Can we look for long on counter trend? Yeah, we can look for longs too. But again, I don't want to try and long in the premium here. Like this move is almost exhausted, I have a feeling. That being said, I mean, I'm applying the same logic that we used on like for this whole idea here, right? Of trading away from the trap. We've now made another trap. The difference is we didn't tap into a demand zone on this one. So that's why I'm expecting just to pull back from this. If we had tapped into a 4-hour zone like this, then potentially, yeah, I would look to ping pong between those two zones, essentially. Does that make sense? I mean, we can look for longs maybe up to this zone, but it's pretty risky. And like, I'm going to look to take max 5R on that. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what this X is. Do you want to explain? Whoever drew this? I'm just going to go for an Asian midline test on this. Let's see if this works. Oh, we got swept. So it looks like maybe this will work, but so this one that I had marked out, the 15-minute, looks like it's tapping to that. But yeah, you're right. There's liquidity sitting above Asia too, right? So let's see. Yeah, good call. That's why we don't really trace trades either, right? Now that we swept liquidity, and it looks like that actually looks like we swept into something here on the 5 or 15. Let's wait for a break of 5-minute structure potentially. Try and take shorts. But in terms of like taking longs, actually, I do think there was one here. Kind of had a subtle change in character on the 1 minute. Trying to see here. So like again, like this is very subtle, right? Yeah, took out that, and then we started like breaking above it. Then you could have maybe taken a long off of that. But we are still really bullish here. Now we're in this 4-hour zone, right? Yeah, I try to be careful about being too quick to change my bias too. Though you can see here how like obviously being too married to one bias kind of like hurt us in our management. Management is half of the game too, right? So I mean, it depends on the market conditions too. If we're ranging a lot, like yeah, I'll take like 15-minute longs and shorts all day based on just like breaks of structure, like you've seen this week. I mean, I did that again today, right? Like when I took my long and then I got swept on that, and then I took my short. I just took 5R on it, right? Because we're ranging so much. Yeah, so let's see if we can try and catch something here. Looks like there was actually an entry at this level. We just missed it. So just so you guys can see it. What would have maybe kept me out of it is, again, like looking at the current leg that we're in, like it's pretty discount. And I don't want to short this deep in a discount. So I'd be probably more inclined to take something like this. And like if it doesn't tap me, that's fine. But we've clearly broken, you know, a nice like 5-minute substructural level here. We've, you know, swept liquidity into a 4-hour zone. Within that 4-hour zone, I believe we swept into probably a 5-minute. Let's actually take a look at it. I'm kind of curious. So let's see here. I'm just gonna mark it with the tool. What did we sweep into here? Oh, it's too far away. Shit. Looks like we like swept into some wicks here. I'm not really sure. It's very hard to investigate on software FX, but that's fine. How did I get the rectangle to on the hotbar? All I did was I just moved these all down from it being up here. Yeah, right click customize. Oh, you mean just putting it in here in general? Yeah. That's how you do that. You just insert. Yeah, so there's a couple areas we can try and take. I don't think this is the worst. You can see there is some sort of wickage here. There's probably something on the 15-second or whatever. I don't know if you guys saw Alex Tricky's video, but some really good insights on like wicks and stuff there. Really like that. And I like the fact that he was looking at taking a lot of like extremes that are sitting above liquidity. He's talking about inducement a lot. It's the whole idea of liquidity and that liquidity getting swept, right? And that liquidity is built there intentionally by institutions to be swept to fill their bags. That's what we're looking for a lot of the time. We're in London lull now. I don't think price is going to come up to either one of these really. I don't think this one will hold. But potentially we can look at like one of these zones here too, right? What do you guys think? Where do you want me to place some orders here? This one. So Amar wants to do the extreme, I think, right, Amar? You can maybe do the wick, which is essentially this, and Pete wants to do that one. So let's do it. Let's see who wins. I'll show you guys, even if we take a lot of losses, like can still probably turn this session profitable. It's totally possible. It's okay to be in like a drawdown sometimes, as long as you learn from it, right? So let's see, this might even work too. Let's see. But again, we're in London low, so don't necessarily want to be taking these trades either based on the session timing, right? Oh, we just got swept barely on that one. You know what? I'll rewind on this one because we were looking to take this. I know a lot of you guys were saying you wanted to take it, so we'll pull back on that one. That's okay. We'll take the L's on the other. It's not a big deal. I'll cover the high a little bit better. We'll do a 5-pip stop roughly. Yeah. So that's the extreme, right? On the 1 minute. Not really even a it's not a flip zone, that's for sure. It's kind of a risk entry. But again, look. So I think if this does work out, the whole reason for it is, look, built liquidity there. We've obviously built a ton of liquidity here, right? So it makes sense that potentially this will work, or we're going to become liquidity again, get swept out of it. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, William, I think you're right. It was a lot of momentum. And again, we're in London low, right? So we're kind of like forcing trades that, again, I would probably filter out in a live market. Yeah, I could come back into the 15-minute supply blue watch. It's very possible. We're talking about this higher one, right? Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Let's push to New York and see if we did get a nice like sweep of liquidity into what looks like this, right? Which is probably a 5-minute. Let's quickly look at that. It's getting a little bit messy, but that tapped into this thing over here. And some sort of wicks, meaning it's some sort of supply zone on the 1 minute, more than likely. So now we've broken, yeah, 15-minute structure. We've swept liquidity. Let's see if we can now actually try and take shorts. Basically trying to short the entire pullback. That's okay. We're only 2 days into the month. So I'll try to speed it up a little bit. I want to try and cover a little bit more ground. That being said, we'll continue this on the next session. Not to say I'm going to finish now. We still have another hour. Let's see what we can pull from this. Yeah, Red, I'll clear your drawn screen here. Some wicks here. Yeah. Let's just mark them all. Let's see, right? If it comes into it. And again, we can always try and take a continuation off of any of these. That's a good flip zone. I agree with you. Let's try slapping a limit on that one. It's not that bad of a zone. It's a little bit in the discount. That's okay. Not a big deal. Just take it straight off the 5-minute. I think a lot of people get what's the word for it? They get whipsawed on the 1 minute. So that's why I try to like pay attention to the 5-minute a lot. I almost consider 5-minute like my primary time frame in a live market because it keeps me out of a lot of these like mini 1 minute zones. I'm okay with taking 1 minute continuations and stuff like that after we see you know, a nice like reaction on the 5-minute or our model play out in a way. Then, you know, obviously you're going to miss some of the trades, but you're also going to protect yourself from a lot of the losses too. So definitely cuts out a lot of noise. So I don't know if we're gonna come back up. Like again, we're building liquidity here, but speed up price a little bit here. Building liquidity, building liquidity. Don't necessarily want to short any of this. But let's see. I'm starting to push down pretty aggressively. Okay, so one thing I'm going to mention here. The fact that we're building liquidity now tells me like something in here potentially might be good, or our original limit, right? Yeah, so there's two areas that we can take out. Like these are both supply to demand zones. I'd be more inclined, honestly, to take this one, but I'm going to set a limit on both for you guys. So we'll see which one works. So we'll do one here. We have like 1,000 leverage. I reconfigured this thing, so we just take as many things as we want. And yeah, we're tapping into a pretty clear 15-minute demand zone, right? So you can expect either we're gonna like blow through all of this, maybe come into one of our zones, right? I think this one might actually work. Let's see. But okay, so oh, did we even get tagged into the other one? I don't know. Just barely. I set the order a little bit high. Okay, I'll rewind for you on that. I don't know who said it, but or who said they wanted to short off that, but we'll I'll adjust the order a little bit for you. So let's get the sell limit. I want to make sure I don't do the one that's higher up. What's this one? Okay. Do this. I'm gonna cover the high. I think this one's gonna work out well. Just gonna clear your drawings. Just clear your drawings if you're if it's been up there for a while, guys, if you don't mind. We tapped it. Okay, you know what? We're starting to build a little bit of liquidity here. This is very likely going to get swept. Let's see. An off chance that it doesn't, that'd be nice too. Retesting. Again, let's mark out this 15-minute zone so we're aware of it. We can maybe take a. We didn't quite tap into it. We did into the last like bearish before bullish push up. We'll mark that out too. Yeah, somebody wanted to long here, so I'll set an order for you too. Let's do it. Good with that. And that's the fun in back testing, right? Is basically experimenting and seeing what works, what doesn't. I'll set a buy limit for you at this level. It's a big stop loss, 6 pips, but that's fine. At least now we're like hedged pretty much, right? It's ranging quite a bit. We're in a pullback, short pullback. We've reacted off of a 4-hour supply zone, right? I think this is going to take us out. Maybe should probably break even it. Yeah. Yeah, at least we're in the long now. That's good. And we've tapped into that. So what do you guys think? We're definitely bearish. Yeah, I agree. I think for the long, we're at about 4R. Yeah, I do think we're going to melt too. So I'm going to take off 80% on this already, just to secure some profits. So we can like climb out of this drawdown a little bit. Oh wait, did I do the right one? Oh yeah, the buy. Okay, we're good. But let's see if the zone holds. And maybe we can even get some scalings if we start breaking down. That's good. We got a bit of a change of character on that. Yep, I agree. That's a nice area we can potentially short off of. This is beginning to feel a lot like the euro dollar intraday chat. You guys are just taking everything. But I'm down for it because we're learning, right? Actually, there's a couple, so I'm actually going to set a limit here too. There's this one too that isn't bad. Cover the high a little bit. See this? How this demand zone got broken after it reacted, right? Honestly, whether it reacts or not, like it's pretty good. Building liquidity. Okay, we tapped into, oh my God, that's close. tapped into our other shorts. That's good. Starting to recover our drawdown. Good job, guys. Very good call. Yeah, 5-minute wick. Yeah, that's. I don't know if it quite tapped into it. Let's see. We'll mark it out and we'll actually check it out. I think it just barely. It just tapped the tip of it. It didn't even really tap into it. It's like a tick. Building liquidity again. So only issue with this, I'm just going to mention it here. Like I was okay with taking the other one because this was in New York. So I was happy to take that. The re-entry though, the fact that it was like this late into New York, I wouldn't have been trading. I actually would have been like off the computer doing something else. So that's fine. Sometimes these like post London close trades work out pretty well too. So there you go. And we tapped into our buy again. We might as well set this one break even. Like no sense in taking. Yeah, it's a weak low. Absolutely. It's been tapped into once, right? Now we built liquidity on the downside. So we can expect that price will come sweep this and then maybe pull back. And maybe in London or Frankfurt, we'll get a nice pullback. So I'll skip ahead a little bit here. So what R is the short running? So we risk 0.5%, right? Roughly $500. So 6R on this one and 4R on that one. So about 10R we're running, floating. Peak we probably hit was like 12, 14R between the two. It's our target. I'm just going to hold it. I don't know. We can look maybe to target this area of demand on the 4-hour. But I think this is going to honestly melt from here. Again, like the whole idea is we're trading away from this trap, right? And honestly, we even got like we got a change of character on the 4-hour. Let me quickly mark that up so you guys understand what I'm saying. You see how we like swept this and then we sort of broke down. I'd say that's a change of character, right? Like we swept the high, swept the low, built liquidity, a bull trap, tapped into a 4-hour zone, pushed down, broke structure below. I know it looks like a liquidity sweep, and it is. And we got our pullback, right? On the 4-hour. Let me zoom in a little bit. So again, trading away from the trap, right? There we go. We recovered a pretty big drawdown there. A 10-hour drawdown, 5%. And there we go. Look, we broke our area. So now I'm going to expect that we are going to get that pullback, right? And maybe in New York, we'll be able to short something in this leg on the 15-minute. So now we've broken clear 15-minute structure. There's our pullback there. Yeah, we kind of got liquidity sitting there. To me, this looks almost like bearish order flow. Like we're tapping and mitigating into zones there, right? So, you know, potentially we could look, yeah, either at that one or this one. There are two like decent zones, and we'll mark out all of them. They're potentially like it's even going to come up to one of these, right? This is probably a 5-minute if I were to mark it out. Yeah, there's a 5-minute sitting above liquidity. But again, like we're in our shorts, we can hold it. We've held it for a day now, so we're going to swing it a little bit. But again, this is the whole reason I'm actually kind of glad we went into drawdown there, because I wanted to show you guys that despite the fact that we were in drawdown and like we mismanaged those trades, like you can recover it. It takes discipline to do it and not like get tilted. It's a lot like playing poker, right? I don't know if you guys play Texas Hold'em at all, but it's the same thing. The psychology is very similar. Yeah, we built liquidity. So let's see if in New York we come and tap into this. And for this one, we'll try to take a confirmation entry, assuming that it even like taps us in. There's a really good book that I'm reading right now on trading psychology by Jared Tendler, The Mental Game of Trading. I don't know if that's the book you're referring to, Bobby, but he also wrote some books on on poker. And I think he was like some esports psychologist, team psychologist. I don't know for what, but I don't really watch esports or anything like that, but it's pretty interesting. It honestly makes sense, like in any like skill-based endeavor, like obviously going to be a lot of like psychology involved in it. You could say the same thing for like games, right? It's interesting. I always find like when I take a break from playing a certain game, I come back to it. I come back, I'm like amazing at it. Whereas if I just play it every day, I'm not going to be very good. It's like you get almost like fatigue from like doing it too much, right? Same applies to trading. So like we're getting a pullback here. We're starting to break 15-minute structure. There's this zone here even. I know it is structural liquidity, but let's see if on the 5-minute, looks like we're maybe tapping into and sweeping all of this liquidity sitting at this level here. Yeah, and then there's that one that we've tapped into, right? That's good observation. You know what, I'm gonna just, I'm using like huge stop losses for this and everything, because I want to show you guys again, like don't need to like take a 1 pip stop loss to be profitable. That is a little bit difficult to like pull a lot of profit, but I was happy to take a market short on that too. And this one ended up failing almost. I think if you didn't set this break even, you would have been fine on that. Also made the mistake of trading near news. That's not very good. Yeah, this one worked out too on the 5-minute. We'll just mark it out. Yeah, The Mental Game of Trading by Jared Tendler. That's the name of the book. It's really good. Talks about like you at your worst and best game. I'm not that far into the book yet, but it's really interesting. Yeah, so it was another nice, whoops, wrong tool. It was another nice kind of 1 minute. I wouldn't say it's, well, actually, yeah, this is a change of character, right? Broke this high, broke this low, closed below this, right? And then could have shorted off that. Well, I'll rewind for you there. That was a nice one. Good call. It's a little hard for me to enter trades and talk at the same time, guys. So sorry if I'm missing a lot of the ones that you're marking out. Whoops. So we'll set a limit sell on that. And honestly, we could just cover this high like this. We'll do like a 3.2 pip. So the other nice thing actually about this, I think it was Big Watch that marked it out. There's 2 reasons why this zone's pretty like high probability. Not only did we like obviously sweep, we got swept right in this market short that I took. It's kind of funny. But if you look here on the 5-minute, again, what did we do? We reacted and then completely took out this supply zone on the 5-minute. So that's a nested one right there. Right? See it? This here. It's very subtle, but like basically reacts off of that, right? And then breaks down. And then here's our tap in. Good stuff. It's a fantastic short. Oh man, look at that. This was after news too. I think this is at least 5 minutes after news. So I don't think there's any harm in taking it. We're just taking it with trend, right? 15 minutes bearish. Now you could have argued that, oh, this was a 15-minute break of structure. But again, look, sweeping liquidity. We're in overall higher time frame, like bearish structure, I'd say. Right, the fact that we reacted to this 4 hours, pushing down, 15 minutes, pretty much downtrending, right? I would have even considered this. I'll just quickly mention this is a weak low to me, based on the fact that it didn't close below it, right? That tells me like that's weak. It's going to get blown through. It does, right? The other thing is the fact that we didn't close below this. Technically, these were our structural highs and lows on the 15 minute. So we're really playing within this range, right? Even though we kind of swept it. I think, yeah, like some of you would say, again, this is a break structure, but just note this is a 15-minute substructure break. And really, again, like this is a super liquidity, right? This lower high, right? So we're anticipating basically this. There you go. We capitalized on it, and we're still holding our short from up here too. So good call, guys. We are making some big profit. Rio, yeah, let's see. I don't know when did you say that? Oh, about a minute ago. Yeah, we're probably gonna get a pullback. Honestly, we should probably TP these here. I'm gonna just close 80% on all of these. We could get a hedge one, but yeah. So just so you guys know, the reason I want to actually potentially close these is because we're tapping to this 4-hour zone here. And again, listen, this is the same principle I was talking about, right? Look, we built liquidity. We tapped into something. What did we do here? Built liquidity. We got a little baby sweep, right? Pull back, and then look. Now we're sweeping that previous structural low, which obviously has a lot of stop losses below it for anybody that was, or any institution that was taking longs in the pullback. Same as what we would have done if we were in it, right? So liquidity is sitting here. It's going to get taken out. Obviously, it's taking out all of this liquidity and it's tapping into the 4-hour. So to me, that's a good reason to like take the majority of my positions off on all of these. So let me just make sure I do the right ones. We'll hold a little bit just in the off chance that it like sells off a little bit more. We can squeeze more profit out of it. But other than that, let me leave like 6-7 lots on. And you can look for, I'm not going to look for longs now actually yet, because we are like approaching spread hours in a bit. So, but I am anticipating like maybe at Frankfurt Open, we might be able to catch like a change of character on the 5 or 1. Slash a 5-minute break of structure or supply, and then we can look for a long hedge. And yeah, 4-hour lower low broke. But again, look, we're tapping into a zone, right? So again, you don't want to be too biased and like keep on trying to short this. Like price is getting exhausted too, right? It's gonna have to pull back at some point. But you could be right. Like I don't want to say that. No, I'm not always right. I mean, you guys saw my poor management at the start of this, right? To be fair, I don't really swing trade. I'll defend myself a little bit on that one. I'll typically just take stuff for 7, 10 hour, whatever. You guys see it when I post it. Took that 5-hour today. But in a more volatile market, you know, like it's fun to take these like huge 10, 20, 30-hour trades sometimes when they do happen. Make quite a lot of money. It's where trading gets really lucrative. But again, trading is really lucrative when you're consistent taking 5-hour too, right? And it's the reason like a lot of the people in the team do it. Like even Dan, he's still doing 5-hour. I know it's different between like Sam and Brian. I think Albert does 5-hour still too. It should be profitable either way. It really doesn't matter. It's whatever fits your personality best, right? Like if you find yourself being like overly emotional, you're getting like decision fatigue from trying to decide whether, oh, maybe I should hold this, swing it or not. Like you just take 5-hour. It's fine. Or on the flip side, if you feel like you can be profitable, like trying to call if something's going to run further than 5-hour based on like higher time frame, mid time frame structure, then you go for it. Could I zoom in on the 5-minute? Yeah, sorry. So let me push to, oh shit. Okay, I didn't do that. Whatever, that's fine. We'll keep it going. There was something here. You know what? Price is very like, it's consolidating a lot here. So looks like our 4-hour zone failed. So that's good. Good for our shorts. Yeah, Rio, I'm glad. Again, like I'm happy we took those losses just to kind of show you what can happen, right? And I gotta hand it to you guys. It was you guys that called most of like the winning trades that were in here. So it wasn't even me that said it, right? I think maybe I called one of them. You have to rewind and on the video and find out. I don't remember. Yeah, so London was interesting here. Let's just take a look at this really quickly. Looks like we reacted, like honestly, this price action is pretty messy. There's a wick here. Which wasn't bad and that reacted off of this. I know it's probably tiny for you guys. I'll zoom into it. This demand zone here. And kind of flipped, right? Broke below, built liquidity very subtly. So here, you probably see a little bit better if I draw on the 1 minute. Basically what we got was this liquidity here. Take a look at that, right? So you would have been able to take, this would have been the London short right here, this level, but we missed it. That's okay. And we're approaching a lot of US news, NFP. I think this is a Friday, so let's actually stay out of this until after NFP hit. Unless you guys want to try and call it for fun, but I don't recommend doing this in the live market. Where do you guys think NFP is going to tap us into if you had to pick a supply or demand zone? Well, honestly, I'd probably take shorts, but yeah, we built liquidity there. Yep, totally agree. Say we're feeling kind of crazy and we're not trading a prop firm account. Yeah, that zone. I think this zone is decent. I'll slap a limit on it for you, but well, barring the fact that like this was like the nice like London trade and everything, there's liquidity sitting here, right? Yeah, exactly. So to me, I'm almost more interested in like this zone sitting up here. I want to like, this is what I typically see with NFP. It's usually something that's way out of the way. You know what I mean? It's not like the most obvious zone. We can try to take this risk entry, but again, I need to give you guys a disclaimer. Don't do this in a live market, please. You could get slipped out, right? We'll just do it. I'm going to do a big stop loss on it too, to account for volatility. I'll do on both shorts. I don't necessarily want to take long. Somebody was marking out a long. The reason I would actually, I mean, we broke this major structural point, right? So again, we could potentially anticipate, even though we blew through this 4-hour zone, we could potentially anticipate that we're going to pull back here too, right? So we did get like a change of character here pretty clearly. We could have taken a long off of this, despite the fact that this was London lull, right? So kind of like hedge based off of the original short. But yeah, maybe I'd look at like this wick 5 minute. Yeah, let's do it. Let's just slap orders on everything. See what works. Set a buy limit, cover the low a bit. Okay, again, remember guys, don't trade NFP in a live market, in a live account. Even in your demo, you shouldn't be doing this. It's more of an experiment. See what works. Might not even tap us into anything. You don't know. But I'm gonna guess it is. I'm gonna blow through. Yeah, there you go. It's gone. So here's the danger, just as a little lesson to you guys. This is obviously a simulation, right? But if you had set the long on that, there's a like very good chance you're going to get slipped out. So imagine your stop loss is whatever, a few pips. This happened to somebody, I won't name who. I don't even remember who it was in the community, but basically their stop loss was, you know, something like that, and they got slipped out, right? So they're basically taking a factor of not -1R, but like 2, 3. I think it ended up hitting like -5R or something for them. They blew their daily drawdown limit, their challenge account in one shot. So you got to be careful of NFP slippage. Now I'm wishing we held these shorts at full volume because it's really dumping. It's okay. We took our profit, we paid ourselves. I mean, we're up 60R. That's pretty crazy considering we're 5 days into the month. I thought we would run through this faster, but I think it's because we're kind of like so focused on trading intraday. Do you guys prefer that I trade things slower, or do you guys like it when I kind of like rush through it? Reason, I guess I'll explain it. The reason I recently, even like when I backtest alone or with somebody else on the team or one of you guys or whatever, I try to actually slow it down a lot because I've always found that like it's very hard to sit and wait through a live market. And that's why like doing simulations and stuff, blasting through price really quickly isn't like the best, because it's kind of like you're kind of like training your brain to think that like setups are more common than they are, and you think you can trade at that same frequency because time is literally like multiplied by a factor of like 100 times or more, right? Yeah, we're building a lot of liquidity there. Let's see if we can tap into that before London close. Yeah, slower. Okay, cool. I'm glad you guys are getting value out of it. I actually like doing it slower too, because I can actually think about it. I almost want to like show you guys how I don't want to say it's boring, but like you got to sit through a lot of stuff sometimes. Like this week's a perfect example, right? If you sat on your hands this week on EU, or even if you were able to pull something out of the market or protect yourself from a lot of losses, like good for you, right? Because you're exercising basically your patience muscle. You really need a lot of patience. And then on the flip side, when the market's volatile and like there's good opportunities, go strike, right? It's a lot like boxing in a way. Wait for the right time to strike, be patient. You don't want to like be like Logan Paul and just throw punches constantly at Floyd Mayweather and get tired 2 rounds in. You can see how like calm and collected Floyd Mayweather was in that exhibition fight. It wasn't the most entertaining fight, I'll be honest, but yeah. It's kind of what separates a professional from an amateur. Right? Consolidating. It's too bad. It didn't come to tap us in, right? We actually got a subtle super liquidity here. Now we're in spread hours. So I don't think, I wouldn't have traded any of this, to be honest. Like New York was pretty bad here, right? That's okay. We stay out, protecting our profits, right? Protecting our capital. Well, let's push to Frankfurt Open. There's Frankfurt Open. Let's just pause for a second, actually analyze this a little bit further. So price is just continuing to dump like pretty aggressively here. Again, we've taken out this major demand zone here. So potentially price might get a little bit exhausted and pull back. So I'm not opposed to taking longs, but the thing is, let's see if we can, it would be counter trend obviously to take a long. Let's mark out some 4-hour demand zones here. So we got one here that we're technically in now. No, I don't want to be like overly biased and just keep trying to short this. But you can see like sometimes our logic can fail and stuff too, right? We can still be profitable in the market. Like I thought that us taking out these zones would result in a pullback. I was wrong. Right? It's okay to be wrong, especially if you're intraday trading. Like it's not the end of the world, but if you're swinging and you rely on swing trades really to like compound your account, then make sure you understand higher time frame price action and structure a little bit better. Yeah, I would wait for like I wouldn't take it off of a 1 minute change of character or anything. That's for sure. Blue watch. I would wait because you're asking, just for anybody who's watching the video who can't see the chat, it's asking if I would look for longs, like non-counter trend longs, a 15-minute break. Yeah, I do the 15 or like a few 5-minute, considering how bearish we are, right? And I'm not gonna try and like catch a falling knife on this one. London actually had, I keep missing them because I'm talking. Looks like there was a 1 minute trade here, which was a flip zone, would have been half decent. And yeah, that 15-minute we tapped into. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I actually don't know, is this this was in Asia. I wouldn't have taken this, but it worked. That's cool. Yeah, even this, I don't think it would have tapped, but oh, actually would have. This would have been an okay zone, kind of the extreme slash sweep on the 1 minute. Let's see if there's anything in New York. Look, we're still running on our shorts too, despite the fact we have like such small volume, like because we've moved so much. Like, look at this. We made like another like 3% since. Just pull these other limits off. All right, so here is New York kill zone. Let's see. Again, violated this completely. This is technically a 4-hour flip zone, right? But I don't think price is going to come back up to that. Got a lot of momentum behind it. And again, I don't want to try again to try, like I'm not interested in necessarily like shorting anything that is in the discount here. But sometimes momentum takes over, right? Just keeps going and going. And this is really bearish. Let's see if we come potentially into this one next. Yeah, 5-minute liquidity there. Absolutely. I'd be tempted even to like maybe take this wick. But we can wait for confirmation entries. We don't need to take risk entries like I've been doing. Obviously, you saw like how many losses I took just taking risk entries. See liquidity build here too. Wouldn't short this. Yeah, that's a flip zone. Yeah, that would keep me out of it. Let's not be like stupid about it and try to like force trades, right? Let's wait till this sweep. And if it goes without us, whatever, it's fine. Chance it might. It looks like it actually might do that, but let's see. Oh, there's our sweep. Okay, cool. Let's actually analyze on the 1 minute a little bit more. I want to see if there's anything sitting here. No. Okay, so 2 places we can look at again. These 2 areas that I've marked out. That being said, did technically actually let's see if we close above on the 15-minute. Yeah, we closed above, so we're technically bullish on the 15-minute, but at the same time we suck liquidity, so that is a bearish signal to me, right? Kind of tapped into this wick, it looks like. Yeah, here, right? That's what I was trying to look for on the 1 minute. Let's see. Yeah, so that's this zone here that we kind of tapped into. Interesting. So we could look to, I'll set, yeah, we tapped into demand. Yeah, we tapped into demand as well. So let's see, like we can take both, honestly. But I'm more biased toward shorts still, even though we're like so low down and we're so like deep in discount. and potentially like exhausted in price. Because I think we're going to come to this 4-hour zone next. You can kind of target that, right? But Amar, sure. I guess let's just play the edges of it, right? Set limits at both, see what happens. And we'll manage it. I'll give you a tight stop loss on that one. And for the short, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look to take the retest of this, basically this sweep here, right? Swept the liquidity there, right? But again, we know that potentially what could happen, you gotta just be aware of it, is might come tap into this 15-minute up here, right? Because again, it's all liquidity. So let's see what happens. Getting a little bit late in the session. Actually, not too late. It's still 10 a.m. Eastern. 2 p.m. London. Okay, so that's not bad. I'm tempted to even hit that break even now. I'm gonna hit break even on that. BE everything. The reason I'm BE on that is because look, we built equal highs. So I don't want to get swept and take an unnecessary loss, though it looks like we're gonna dump from here anyway. And we'll take your hedge too, Amar. Let's see if this works. Thinking you're gonna get a little bit out of it. No, never mind. Yeah, so this is the confusing thing. It's hard for me to even explain it. The whole idea of like, yeah, the fact that we broke structure. It's because we swept liquidity, right? You kind of have to like play with them in tandem. It is kind of discretionary in the sense that like, yeah, okay, I get it. We broke the structural point, but this is liquidity, right? And again, if we're thinking from a theoretical perspective, why is liquidity being built? It's so that an institution can literally like fill their bags. Otherwise, they're going to like push the market and crash it one way or the other. Right? They need that liquidity built to fill their orders. That's the most simple like explanation I can give you about it. Yeah, and it honestly wasn't that convincing of a breaker structure. The fact that it tapped into a I mean, honestly, this is a very subtle example. It's a good one because like maybe you guys can learn something from it too. Even I'm learning from it. I didn't always used to take wicks like this or pay attention to them. I'd only look for straight like buy before sell before buy type candles, supplier demand zones. But the fact that it was a 5-minute wick. So it was a pause in price action, right? Meaning it was a supply zone on the 1 minute. And same applies to wicks on the 1 minute or literally 15-second like supplier demand zones. So whenever you see wicks like that, like there's usually something in it, right? But again, the fact that we came and we tapped into this supply, like this is just like a liquidity sweep. That's all it is. And same with that. Yeah, exactly. Anytime I see a sweep of liquidity, right, we can expect, whether it's on the higher time frame, mid time frame, whatever, right? So you know what? We can hold it a bit, but I'm going to hard TP everything at this level here. Once we get into this 4-hour zone. Actually, probably before spread hours. Not be too greedy about it. We'll just do it now. Yeah, I can check the 1 day. Let's see. 1 second. So yeah, sorry, the daily chart. I have it here somewhere. I think it's this one. I'll just open it. Oh yeah, look, we're in a daily demand zone. Look at that. Okay, good call. That's why it's important to look at the higher time frames, guys. This might actually react. And honestly, like, that's why I was happy to take profit on these, right? Yeah. Let's continue. Let's go to Frankfurt, London. So time to be maybe we'll see. We'll see. I like my intraday stuff. Otherwise, I can't sleep properly. Start dreaming about my trade. It's funny, whenever I do swing trade, it's never a nightmare I have. It's always I'm very optimistic when I dream. I always wake up to like 30 grand in profit or something stupid like that. It's like very common for me. Like, oh yeah, I ran 50R. And I wake up and look and it's like, oh, it took me out break even. Nice. Yeah, nice 15-minute zone there. So this is really interesting here. I'm gonna just rewind for a sec because a little like point here, because I was talking again, keep missing it. So a few things. First of all, we're in a daily zone. We think we're probably gonna pull back react, right? Where we broke this structural level. Price is now getting probably really exhausted from pushing short so much, right? We're in a daily, we tapped into a 4-hour. We tapped within like, I would say, let me just zoom into this. This is something that I always tell people too, right? Within this 4-hour zone, right? This being the whole thing, we tapped into at least the 10% of it, right? If we tapped like this, like within 1 to 2% of it, I'm not really going to count it as much, but we tapped into the 4-hour zone. We didn't close into it, or we didn't close in it. That's fine too. We also got a 15-minute change of character as, so I didn't see who marked this out, but we marked out, yeah, 15-minute, or sorry, a 5-minute change of character. That's pretty clear, right? So 2 areas we can play off of, right? Either this 5/15-minute or the extreme here. And then we got our sweep of liquidity, right? So again, we're going to trade away from this trap, right? This is all lining up nicely. We've broken 5-minute structure up, right? That's typically what we're looking for anytime we're in that. Like this is just that whole idea of the higher time frame POI, right? 4-hour. And then within it, we're getting like basically this, right? Sweep of liquidity, right? And this isn't a bullish scenario. Break a structure, right? So sweep of liquidity, break a structure here, right? In this case, we actually get a, I'll just put this up a little bit. We get a little supply zone, you get a reaction, we break above it. We're basically taking out all the sellers that were sitting here, their stop losses, right? And then pushing out, build a little bit of liquidity, and then come tap in right at London, right? So there's London. So let's take this. I know it's rewinding a bit on this one, but like, what a fantastic example of like a perfect setup, really, right? I'm glad. I think it was Blue Watch marked it out. Thanks for marking that out. Yeah, Blackwatch has amazing entry models for that. Seriously, the whole idea of like mitigating something to the left, sweeping liquidity, like that's, if you don't have that in your toolkit and you're just trading supply to demand flips, like honestly, you're in for a hard time. I think. I know there's some people that can do it, but like I feel like you have to understand liquidity and structure really well, and like that whole lower time frame entry model. Like, it's just important to understand it, right? And then when you combine it with the supply to demand flips, like that's where supply and demand flips as continuations really shine, in my opinion. So let's set a limit on. We'll just do the whole 5-minute. Maybe we'll do. I'm gonna do the EQ of the 5 on this one. We'll cover the low. 4 pip stop loss. See if it tags us in. I don't remember if it comes out low. Oh, no, it doesn't. It's too bad. Okay, we'll rewind. Take the whole thing. It's just a huge stop loss. Just want to see on the 1-minute if it taps into something. Oh yeah, it looks like it taps into this nested supply to demand zone. So if you want to be really fancy with, yeah, that's how you would take it. You would have done basically like this. I'll take both of them so you guys have an idea. Right. So just give it like 3.4 pip. See how this took out this supply zone. You know what? I don't really take EQ as much as I used to. I kind of stopped doing it because I would miss a lot of trades. I'm okay with big stop losses. I don't care. As long as I can pull something out of the market, it's cool. Yeah, I just try to get in. And then if I see continuations, like supply to demand flips on the 1 minute, I'm going to take them. And that'll help me pull like a good chunk out of the market rather than missing these like, because really, again, and I've mentioned this so many times before, like, what am I always doing? I'm always looking for the liquidity sweep model first, right? And then I'll start looking for those supply to demand flips. Okay, so because this is counter trend, I'm actually going to look to take profit in around this area up here, this next 4 hour zone, because I don't want to be too greedy about it. Like we're at London lull right now. I'll be honest, if I were trading this in a live market, the way that I'd probably approach it is I would have taken profit up here, because usually in and around 11 GMT or BST, London time essentially, that's like 5 a.m. my time. That's bedtime for me. I don't want to hold the trade, right? But what I'll do for this one, same thing. I'm just going to take off 80%. Take off this buy limit. I'm going to take off 80% on both of them. Let's not be greedy about it. Let's secure some profit. Yeah, you're right. 15-minute is confirmed in a bullish trend. But why am I looking to take profit? Because we're tapping into a 4 hour. Like, I don't know if that's going to hold, right? And we're in a 4 hour downtrend. I get prices exhausted, but this is our pullback, right? And look, we just swept liquidity. For New York, we probably even short this, right? We had liquidity here. We swept into this, right? You guys see that? We just had a change of character on the 5 minute, right? So what do you guys think of shorts? Does it make sense? Yeah, thanks for marking it out for me. I was just going to mark it up. Save me time because I don't have to use this stupid line tool. Yeah, so there's 2 areas, right? You got your decisional here. Even this, I would say there's 3 areas we can potentially short off of on the 5 minute. Most high probability for me is not necessarily going to be this lower one down here. I know like some of you might think it is, but or if you don't, then like sorry that I'm assuming that. But yeah, sorry, it's this zone here. It's pretty clear, right? If I look at the 5 minute, really this is what's responsible for breaking this low, not this, right? This doesn't, it's kind of like wicks it, whatever. I could be wrong though. If momentum's high here, I mean, it's New York, right? So it's pretty unpredictable, but I'm going to set a limit at that level and let's see if we can catch a nice short. Just do it off the 1 minute, cover the high. So I don't know if you guys see here, see how we have like sort of like bearish order flow. We keep tapping, mitigating, tapping, mitigating. Even this came and tapped and mitigated this kind of engulfed bar here, right? I'm just going to take it off of this doji and I'm going to cover the high. Again, don't want to be greedy about it. You guys see how much R we're pulling with these huge stop losses? It's because we're swinging, right? Let's see if it comes back for us. Built liquidity, right? Again, like I don't like drawing like angled lines when I do my liquidity stuff, but I think stop losses here, there's stop losses here. It's all liquidity, right? Just kind of swept some here. Okay, look, we're sweeping all of our liquidity. Second wants to push up a little bit. Oh, there we go. Tapped in. Hope it holds. Now we're with trend 2. So I'm not even going to go like break even on this. I think this is going to hold. Oh, we're building liquidity a little bit. Oh, we swept it. Okay. Let's just pause here for a second. Potentially might tap into the extreme. So let's just be wary of this for a second. I'll just set a limit on it. Honestly, we can afford to take the L. Not saying you should be this aggressive in a live market either, but I'll give it 3.3. Also, there's liquidity sitting above here too. So like we could be completely wrong. Let's see. Again, we're with higher time frame structure though. So I do think it's going to work, our original trade. Let's see. The R, so it's the R that we're at right now is about 110, approaching 120 R. Because remember, we risked 0.5%. We're floating at like what, 56, 57%. I don't know if you can see it, but it was just like a week and a half of price action. No, I feel like this is pretty realistic too, because we started in a drawdown, which happens to me sometimes too. The start of the week, and then you recover it, whatever. What's not realistic is like obviously we rewinded a little bit to catch some of the trades that you guys were calling out. That's fine. But listen, you're gonna miss a lot of trades too, right? What's really realistic in like a week and a half? I don't know, maybe 10, 20, 30 R. Depends how good you are at catching the trades and avoiding like taking a bunch of losses and getting tilted, right? It's not even the losses, it's like how tilted you get off of the losses. Like small like psychology, like tidbit on that. Like, are you able to like hold through these pullbacks and stuff, right? Price is just ranging now. Well, I'm still happy to hold this through spread hours and everything. Let's see. We'll push it forward a bit. Or actually, sorry, I think somebody wanted to see the daily too. I completely forgot. Let me pull it up. So we're still in this daily zone. Honestly, we might pull back. We shouldn't be too greedy about this. This short that we're in, and we're floating decently well. 10R on one of them. Oh, and we're still in our buys. I completely forgot. I'm actually going to exit the buy orders now, or like the buy our longs that we were in. Yeah, we could take partials. Actually, you're right. Let's see if we push down a little bit further. Okay, here's London. I'm just going to close half of this. Let the rest run. That's not bad. Okay. Got about 10 minutes left, and then I got to get going. This is a good 2-hour session. Learned a lot here. I learned a lot too. Just going to mark out some of these. This isn't. So you guys are probably wondering, why am I marking out this like this bearish candle, right? It's the wick, right? It's a 5-minute. I could have told you without looking at the 5-minute. This is a 5-minute zone, right? So nice. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the session. It means a lot to me. Really appreciate that, guys. I'm glad we can all learn something from it, right? And take it into demo live, make some money with it, right? So yeah, it looks like this zone is working, but I'm going to wait for a, actually, you know, we can even just take this market. It looks like we're kind of retapping into the, I'm going to cover the high though on this one. But again, same thing. Look, liquidity, 15-minute structure is bearish, right? I'm basically taking a continuation off of this 4-hour zone, right? Not that we're trading directly in the zone, but if you look at the overall range that we're in just on this 4-hour, really quick, I'll explain it. Look, where are we based on this high to this low? Pretty clear, right? We're right at the equilibrium, but that equilibrium is literally sitting right above in the premium, right? So we're shorting in the premium still. So that to me is cool. I'm good with that. And then same with the 15-minute leg that we're in, right? It's a little messy, right? But from here to here, look, we're in the premium, right? Let's just take that market, cover the high. 4.2 pip stop loss. See if it holds. Oh yeah, look at that. Bleeding. Oh, okay. Got a little bit cocky on that one. I think we ran 5R on it, but then we ended up becoming the liquidity too. So that's okay. Take a little L. We could potentially, what do you guys think about shorting this zone here? Or this one? Like for me, this one's kind of nice because we're kind of getting like a series of mitigations. This isn't necessarily a flip zone or whatever, but what do you guys think? Should I enter this or no? I'll let you guys decide. Yeah, we did get a 1-minute change of character, but yeah, I agree. It's pretty aggressive. Let's see. Okay, it's a good thing we didn't. It's a good thing we took partials on our short too up here, right? Interesting. We're building a lot of liquidity here. It's London lull. Chance that this just holds completely. That's fine. Is there a long on the 5-minute? There might have been. Maybe. This one here. Oh, the wick. Yeah. It looks like it swept it a little bit, but that would have been this zone here, which is like not best. It's okay. Oh, we should have set that break even. That's okay. I would have been more interested potentially in like, you see how we got this change of character? Let me just, I won't rewind it, but, or I guess I can rewind. I want to explain this to you guys really quick. Look, change of character works on 15-minute too, right? You guys see how, honestly, this one's subtle, but if we look right, this level, right? Just note something here, right? I'll draw it with the annotation tool so it's a little clearer. Break this low, and we break this one too, right? And then look, we start breaking, like changing character on the 15-minute. We close above here. We just close above here, right? So really, we can look for like longs anywhere in this leg, right? Yeah, whether it's this one or this one. I can't remember. Does it come all the way down here? Let's set limits everywhere and see what works. And look, this is right at London Open too, right? So I'll set one here at the 15.5. The extreme, I'll set one. I'll set one here. We'll do this. Hold on. We'll get swept if we do that one, but whatever. Let's do this wick. Let's take an L for fun. Can't believe I'm saying that. Oh, just barely tapped this. Okay, so we picked the wrong zone. So it looked like it reacted and got a retest even. But hold on, let's see. I think there's one other opportunity for a long here. Just gotta look for it. Can't remember. Does it come down? It does, right? Oh, yeah, it comes down to that. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's mark this out. Let's just see if like this one works even. Might happen in New York, right? Kind of building structural liquidity a little bit. Yeah, I would look to take 5R on these probably. Or just target like nearest 15-minute supply. Oh yeah, we have news too. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna pull these orders just in case. Oh. Okay, good thing we pulled that order. It would have blown through. Or actually, I don't know. Did that blow through? Hold on. Oh, we would have been good actually. You know, I'll leave it on. Oh no, we wouldn't have. Never mind. That's okay. Kind of messing around now a little bit, guys. Yeah, here, I'll quickly look at 1 hour before you for you, Amar, before we wrap it up, because it sounds like you're curious. Let's take a look at it. I'm kind of curious too. As you guys know, I don't really like look at 1 hour much, but let's give it a look-see. Okay, so 1 hour tells me that we built liquidity and like tap into this guy here, which I think is also a 4-hour zone. I can't even tell, it's so messy. Yeah, I think it is. I think that's that 4-hour zone. Let's just quickly like see what happens if that reacts. All right, getting the pullback. Take one more trade and then we'll wrap it up. All right, so now I'm going to start observing because we're in our POI, right? Our 1 hour POI / 4 hour. It looks like it is, right? It's a bit of a weak high, a little bit. little bit weak, but good liquidity built there. So it's a little hard to see on the 1 hour. You see how we have a wick here and then this wick. So that's all of that liquidity we saw on the 1 hour. That's, yeah, again, not as clear on the 4. So see if we get a 5-minute change of character, break of structure, minor break of structure. There we go. We got it. We close below. Now let's look to try and take some shorts off this on the 1. Just be super aggressive about it. We got this one, which kind of like took out this. I don't think this one's gonna hold, but let's place a trade and then let's do the extreme. And again, we have liquidity sitting above here, so we might completely get swept, but let's try. We're in New York session, so there you go. The decisional one worked out fine. The proximal one. Proximal being the closer one, distal being the further one away. I think I got that right, or is that backwards? And we're with trend, so we could maybe even hold this. You know what? So what we're gonna do, guys, is just we're obviously we're gonna wrap it up because we've hit the 2 hour mark here. What I'll do is I'm gonna save this session, and then we can continue kind of from here. Or maybe I'll reset it so we start with like a clean equity curve. But there's our equity curve. There's our huge drawdown from the start. 14 loss, losing streak, pretty good, and then we kind of recovered all of it and made a lot of money on that. So if you look at statistics, let's just quickly see here. I'm kind of curious to see. So we took 32 trades, 13 of them were winning trades, so roughly a 35% win rate. It's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We'll continue in a couple weeks from now at end of month. And yeah, thanks again for coming, everybody. Obviously, if you guys have questions or whatever, I'm gonna post this in the course like I always do, and feel free to comment or whatever if you have questions I can answer. Because I know I didn't necessarily answer everybody's question. Tried my best, but yeah. Thanks for coming, guys, and thanks, Amar. Amar, you called a lot of good trades there. So good on you, man. Keep it up. I'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. Take it easy.